recognized symbol of excellence in sports entertainment.
Hey, this is Kurt Angle, and welcome to the Kurt Angle Show. On the show today, we're joined by the world's strongest man. But first, let me introduce to you my co-host, Paul Bromwell. How you doing today, Paul?
Kurt, I'm doing great. As you said, we have a special guest this week. I'm really excited, and I don't want to delay because if we do, somebody's going to get their ass kicked, and it isn't going to be me, man. So let's introduce our guest, Kurt. I'll give you all the honor here, my friend.
All right. I'd like to introduce a fellow Olympian, power lifter, weightlifter, ring lifter, truck puller, and the world's strongest man, Mark Henry. How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing good, man.
Hey, how's it going? We were just talking about your son. Your son doing really well in wrestling?
He's doing good, man. He won state last year. He went to Fargo, and in the first round, he beat the number 12 kid in the country who had just beat the number 9 kid in the country. And he had to pull out of the competition because he had a subluxation in his shoulder, which he got a little slap tear, and we PRP'd it and then rehabbed, and didn't require surgery. He's 100% now.
Good.
He had his first wrestling meet this past weekend. His first match was 10 seconds. His second match was 15 seconds, and then he rode a kid out with 5-0. The kid couldn't get up off the ground.
Wow, he's kicking some butt, huh?
Yeah, he's loving it too. And I always thought it would be football. And
I was just going to ask you, he's going to college as a wrestler, not a football player, right?
Bro, he told me 2 weeks ago, he was like, would you be hurt if I didn't play football and I just went and wrestled? And I went, who are you? Like, what are you talking about? You ain't gonna play football? He said, man, I'm having a ball. And I realized that I'm good now. Yeah. And I said, all right, well, shit, do whatever you want to do.
Wow, man. That's cool that you're letting him, because you know that he had the ability to play big time football. Whether in college, even after college in the pros. So allowing him to go the wrestling route, that's pretty cool. You're letting
and the bigger schools wanted him to wrestle.
Right.
Like he had a lot of schools that wanted him to play football, but they were smaller schools.
Right.
And he was like, man, I want to go to a Power 5 school, and if I have to go to do that to wrestle, then that's what I'm gonna do. If I decide to play football later on in life, then I'll do it. He said, my sole goal is to be a professional wrestler anyway. So
follow his dad's footsteps.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So listen, we're going to jump in, Mark. We're going to kind of do a little walk through your time in the business. But before that, we're going to talk about you and Kurt. And I want to know from both of you, when you first met in 1996, you're both in the 1996 Summer Olympics, but how did you guys first meet, Mark?
No. I met Kurt in 95.
Okay.
At the Olympic Training Center.
Nice.
He came to a wrestling camp, and, it was a big deal. They was like, oh, man, this dude, he won the Olympic trials and yada, yada, yada. And I was like, man, like, I want to see him. And they was like, well, they were right next to us. Like, we were wrestling and weightlifting was connected by like a building, like double doors. So like, I remember going over there one day, and this guy, he's I think he passed away. I'm a guy named Mark Kerr.
Mark, he's still alive. Yeah.
Is he still alive?
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Okay, so Mark Kerr was like, "Yeah, strong man, we got somebody for your ass. Yeah, I bet you can't hold him." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he was like, this dude can move. Yeah, you got to see if you can hold him down." And Kurt showed me, like, he was like, "Well, this how you, like I had never wrestled before. I didn't know a seat belt from a damn shoulder strap." And they like showing me how to put him in how to hold on to him.
Yeah.
And it was like he did a sit out, like rock, won't rock, and was standing in front of me. I was like, damn, how you do that? It was like magic. Like I had never seen nobody move that quick before. And I thought that if I grabbed something, I'm holding it forever. And that was not the reality.
You know what, Mark? He pretty much ruled the Olympic Training Center. He lived there, so he was there every day, all year. And we only came in for a couple weeks every few months. So
right.
Mark was there, and he pretty much ruled the place. Everybody knew who he was, and he was Mr. Popularity.
He was. I love that dude, and he was tough. I wish that he had better circumstances and better people around him. He's one of those guys that kind of, I felt like, slipped through the cracks because of not having the disciplined people around him.
Kurt, so Mark
heard him. You're absolutely right, Mark.
Kurt, Mark heard about you. Okay. Mark Henry said, I heard about Kurt and I wanted to go over and see this dude. What did you think when you saw big Mark Henry walking towards you?
Holy shit. Listen, I already knew about him. I was in a celebrity basketball dunking contest. He weighed 350 pounds, and he was able to dunk a basketball. You know how impressive that is?
I've seen it. Yes.
Yeah.
Incredible.
A little athleticism, just a little.
A little bit.
Go ahead, Kurt.
Mark, being able to represent the United States at the Olympics that took place in the United States holds a special place in my heart. How about for you?
Man, everybody, well, not everybody, but almost all of my uncles served in the military, and patriotism was big in my family. And, because of my size and because I was not on that track, I wasn't going to get to do it, even though as a little kid, I thought I was going to get to be a soldier. Mm. And like when I started competing, they always played the anthem, always brought me to tears. I was just always ready, hyped to compete. And that was my way of showing my patriotism and being an Olympian. Is I feel like I don't feel like a soldier like I did service for the country, but I represented the country as the best way that I could. And man, I got so much joy out of being an Olympian, like the making the going to the Olympic trials and winning, and being the captain of our team and being able to lead our guys out and hold the flag. Man, it meant a lot to me.
Dude, not only that, but at that point, you were the largest athlete ever in Olympic history. How big of a deal was that to you? That's pretty special.
You know what? If you're going to have one, have a big one.
That's right. From Texas.
I just never even thought about being the heaviest guy that ever competed in the games.
Largest athlete.
It's not something you think about. I just went and did the bit.
Say something.
Say it again.
I'm sorry, but I have to.
He wants to say something. He said.
You know who Chris Taylor is?
Yes.
Okay, he was an Olympian in wrestling.
I know exactly who he is.
Pounds. So I don't know if Mark was the actual biggest in history.
I'm talking about weightlifting.
Weightlifting. Yeah.
Weightlifting. I knew they had the unlimited class in wrestling, and Chris Taylor was a mountain of a man in wrestling. And I think that even though I think 285 is maybe too low. I mean,
wrestling, I agree, Mark. It should be higher. Yeah.
It should be at least 295.
Yeah, maybe
because there's a lot of guys that were really good and athletic, but they couldn't cut down that far.
Yeah. No,
like I look at my son now being, 280, 285. When he plays football, he goes up to 300 pounds. Right. And then he has to come down to 285.
Cut a little bit of weight. Yeah.
Man, that to watch these kids cut weight, especially the lightweight kids.
Oh, I know.
Man, it's painful sometimes to watch. Kurt, I don't know if you never had to cut because you was a light heavyweight, but
I wrestled up a weight class. I always wrestled higher than I was. Yeah.
Right. And which is even more impressive because you have a guy that is not the same weight as the guys that he's beaten. So that's another story. But I watch some of these, 130, 140 pound kids. And excuse me. And I just feel bad for them because I watch their quality of life. The other kids eating pizza and ho-hos and ding-dongs. And they over there and they got an 8-ounce bottle of water and then an 8-ounce, a 4-ounce thing of Simply Greens mix, and then take a sip of Simply Greens and two sips of water, and that's got to last them all day.
I know. That's the one thing about wrestling. You want to take the fun out of wrestling. It's hard enough as it is, but you want to take the fun out of it. Any fun there is, cut weight. And that my nephew Mark, he was 10 times better of a wrestler than I was. He burned out in college. He was spent. He hated the sport because of weight cutting. And he would have made the Olympic team, probably won the gold medal. He actually beat the Olympic silver medalist 15-0. He was from Oklahoma State. And Marky just got burned out from cutting weight. He hated wrestling by the time his senior year came around. And after the college, he never went to the Olympics. He didn't even try out. And It's crazy because he was way better than I was. It's ridiculous. But speaking of the Olympics, Mark, not to bring up a sore subject, but with your injury stopping you from performing at your highest level, you had to be expecting the medal at the Olympics. Am I right?
Oh, yeah. That was the best training that I had ever had. I was in 4th place with my snatch. If I would have done my best clean and jerk that I ever did, I would have medaled or came in 4th. It just wasn't meant to be. I believe that God's got a plan for everybody. And the plan for me was to go on to professional wrestling. Kurt, I've helped so many people. I've gave, so much joy to people in pro wrestling that, I think it almost supersedes the fact that, I was the strongest human that ever lived. Right. It's great to have those, and this is not, I'm saying this not as an arrogant prick, but
no, I know the fans appreciate everything you did. They're fans.
The people in powerlifting, the people in Olympic weightlifting, and the people in strongman. Those are 3 different completely communities. It's like CrossFit, bodybuilding, and
aerobics.
It's like 3 different things.
Right.
And to be a world champion in 2 of the 3 and national champion 5 times in the other one, it just don't happen. And the things that I've done still to this day, nobody has done. So I take a lot of pride in that. But that community, even though they love me and they show me love, when I walk around in my everyday life, I might get 1 or 2 of those people go, "Hey, Mark, you're the strongest man." I might get 1 or 2 of those. But every minute that I leave my house, and I'm out in the public, I'm the world's strongest man from wrestling.
That's right.
Right. Yeah.
Every minute.
Pro wrestling. Yeah.
I can't go nowhere.
Yeah.
Kurt know what it's like to walk. I can't go to the mall. I used to, man, I went to the mall with my kids like about 2 months ago. I walked 5 feet, stop. 5 feet, stop. 5 feet, stop.
Taking pictures
And I
and
finally,
autographs, huh?
yeah, I just finally told him, man, I'm going back to the car. Like, here's my credit card. Like, don't make me want to kill you when you come back. And I'm going to the car.
So now you two love Amazon.com as a result.
Man,
I do actually, yes.
I'm looking at like 20 boxes, Christmas stuff and gifts for family. And man, and the only reason I'm here, like this is my little bachelor pad from back in the day. I do all my TV and radio and stuff here because it's silent. No, there's nobody else feeding off of the Wi-Fi. It's always gonna be perfect.
Nice.
And I've been thinking about, man, what am I going? I need to get rid of this place. I'm never here hardly, and the family is like, I've slept over here a couple of times, and they're like, Dad, won't you come home? And I'm like, y'all too damn loud. I can't. If I turn my phone on, I can't even get a damn Wi-Fi signal.
You said you think about getting rid of that place, but the problem is then you go back and visit it and you're like, hell no, I ain't getting rid of it.
Yeah.
You know? I don't blame you. Mark, you made a vow after the Olympics never to return unless the sport was cleaned up of anabolic steroid use. How rampant was it around that time when you were competing?
Oh my God, man. Like there was a guy named Alexander Kolovich. He got a positive drug test. And they paid some money to the International Weightlifting Federation, and they brought him back.
Wow.
So you could pay your way back in. That's how corrupt it was. And he had been suspended for like 3 months. So he came back because once you get a positive test, they don't drug test you. He was taking more drugs. He came back stronger.
Wow.
This dude, he did a 204 snatch. He came back and did 212
kilos.
Wow. He did a 240.25 clean and jerk, and he did 250.
Wow.
I mean, he was doing numbers that we were like, God. Yeah. And, but you know what? I wouldn't have traded nothing, man. I competed against 5 of the heavyweights that won gold medals from 88 until now. 5 of the people that won golds, they're all dead.
Wow.
Heart attacks.
Yeah.
All the guys I used to love hanging out with them. And, like I never was a drinker, but I would go and hang out at the hotel with everybody after the games, after the world championships. And you know how it is, Kurt.
Yeah.
And like Andre Chemerkin, dead. Mario Martinez, dead. Pablo Lara, dead. Manfred Nerlinger from Germany, dead. The guy, Alexander Kolovich, dead. It's just like all those guys. I'm not trading living for a gold medal.
Right.
The sport that I was in, it wasn't designed for you to do the stuff that those guys were doing. And here I am.
Let me
I'm probably 90 pounds heavier, even now, than some of those guys.
Right.
And I'm healthy because God designed my body to be like this. You know, I'm 52 years old, and I'm 6'3.5". I'm 335 pounds. I'm 95 pounds away from being the heaviest I ever was. But still, I got good blood pressure.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm not losing limbs from diabetes. You know, I'm not, you know, I struggle with back pain because of the obvious wear and tear on the body and that kind of stuff. In that Olympics that we were talking about, I tore the muscles in between the ribs. You got those little muscles called intercostals.
Intercostals, yeah.
And I tore it. And so it grew to be healed like that, the ribs like this. So you see, I lean like this all the time. Okay. Like when I lean this way, it hurts 24 hours a day for the rest of my life. That one injury.
My goodness.
And I'm dealing with about 7 of them.
When you tear your intercostals, there's nothing more painful than that.
Bro, you might breaking a rib.
Yeah.
It'll heal up. It'll heal back together and you'll be fine. But when you tear that fascia, like it hurts you for the rest of your life unless you have surgery. And I elected not to have surgery. And I remember there were times when I wrestled. Like the first 10 years of wrestling, when I was learning to hit the ropes, I had to hit the ropes on that side. And there would be sometimes I would hit the ropes and it would feel like somebody stabbed me in. And I'd be like,
I can imagine. I know what those injuries feel like. I pulled my intercostals. I didn't tear them entirely, but I had some that popped out. And now I have like a point in my rib. Where
I do too. I have a big knot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And man, it was the worst pain I've ever experienced.
It's still like I broke my ankle. I tore my quad. I broke my kneecap in half with you when I put the table on and it slid off and I hit my knee.
Oh,
like,
God. Yeah.
Like I've had so many injuries that could have ended a lot of people and it didn't, thank God. But that one still hurts worse than everything else. I got 2 compressed discs that don't hurt that bad.
In your neck or your back?
In my low back.
Lower back. Oh,
from doing all those leg drops and ass bumps.
Yeah.
I did it to myself and I wouldn't change nothing. I wouldn't change nothing.
You should have watched Hulk Hogan do it and realize he had hip replacements. And
I'm gonna do the sleeper hold. Yeah.
Oh my God. How I should have did the heart punch.
Yeah.
Dang it. What a dumbass
on the planet.
Hey, but I told Jacob, and I tell anybody that's listening, like, do not do the most difficult thing because it's gonna hurt you in the long run. Now, if you pull one out ever so often, 1 out of every 5 years ain't gonna kill you.
Nope, you're right.
There you go.
But you can't, like I was trying to do the same, like the reaction was so good that I was like, I'm gonna do it anyway. And like Kurt know what I'm talking about.
It becomes addictive, man.
It's a very addictive reaction, like to get a "oh" from the entire crowd, or to have the crowd go, "Oh no," and they like leading to this, and you just like, "Oh, I got to get that. I got to get one of those in there too."
You got to wrap around your hand, yeah.
Man, it's very difficult to tell the fans no.
I understand that. Santa baby, the season for a fresh cut is finally here with the sponsors of today's show, Manscaped. The leaders in below-the-waist grooming have launched their 5th generation performance package to help you avoid another silent night in the bedroom this year. Take care of your special snowflake with the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra and watch your South Pole shine like never before. Get the best stocking stuffer of all by going to manscaped.com and using code ANGLE for 20% off plus free shipping. Mrs. Claus will thank you. And by the way, Manscaped products make the perfect Christmas gift. Paul doesn't know this yet, but he has a Performance Package 5.0 Ultra on the way to his house this Christmas season from his Olympic hero. Have you ever seen this guy's facial hair? My God, I can't imagine what his nutsack looks like. It's more like a gift for his wife. While I'm at it, I might as well send him the Weed Whacker 2.0 nose and ear hair trimmer. His nasty nose hairs are always getting in the way of his microphone. So listen, be a good buddy to your friends this holiday season and fill their stockings with Manscaped products. You can get 20% off and free shipping with the code ANGLE at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use the code ANGLE. Say ho, ho, ho to a well-groomed mistletoe with Manscaped. Oh, it's true. It's damn true. When did you first take notice of the World Wrestling Federation, Mark?
Man, I started watching wrestling with my grandmother when I was 10, and we would go to, as you can see, the Mid-South poster. We would go to Louisiana. We'd go to Beaumont Civic Center and watch wrestling. We'd go to Houston and see Paul Bosch. I went to Dallas to the Sportatorium one time with my grandmother and my Uncle Andrew to watch the Von Erichs and the Freebirds. Like I was a wrestling fan, and I used to talk about it all the time. And I remember doing Oprah, and Oprah asked me what I did, and I said, I watch wrestling and play video games. And she was like, well, that sounds kind of boring. I was like, no, I love wrestling. I was like, wrestling is the best, you know? So my manager was friends with a guy that knew Vince. And he said, man, that boy loved that wrestling. Like, you know, y'all should take a look at him. And one day Vince called me when I was at the Olympic Training Center. And we used to live in co-ed dorms in the hallways. And somebody said, Mark, phone. So I run down, I grab the phone. I'm like, hello. And he was like, hey, this is Mark Henry. I said, yeah. He said, this is Vince McMahon. And I went, from wrestling? And he was like, yeah, this is Vince. He was like, I love to talk to you. And I said, yeah, right. And hung up on his ass, thinking it was one of my friends playing jokes on me. And the phone rung again, and it was my coach. Well, he wasn't my coach no more at that point, but Terry Todd. And Terry said, hey, man, Vince McMahon just told me you hung up on him. And I said, that was him for real? And he was like, hey, fool, take the phone call. And I was like, oh, my God, this is going to be embarrassing. And Vince calls me right back. And he goes, hey, man, that ain't the first time I've been hung up on. He's like, but I think that you would like what we do. And I'd like for you to come to Connecticut and see how we do things. And I was like, I could not believe it, bro. It was like somebody from a long lost family member calling you.
Now, Mark,
you said
before the Olympics, right? He wanted to sign you before the Olympics.
This was in 95.
I knew that you were signed with the WWE.
No. I'm sorry, Kurt. That was in 94.
Okay. I know you signed before the Olympics.
Yeah. Well, I didn't technically sign a wrestling contract. I had a endorsement deal with Foot Locker and with WWE. Oh. And the reason that I was able to do it and other Olympians couldn't do it is because I had my stuff before the Dream Team, actually. Okay. Is I was able to, because I was the world champion in a sport already, and it was pro. It wasn't amateur. Right. I was allowed to have my sponsors for powerlifting. So everything was legit and legal through powerlifting. And then I started doing the Olympic weightlifting, and it wasn't. And they said, well, you can only get grant money from the USO and the U.S. Olympic Committee and the NGB that you govern by U.S. weightlifting. you can't get other money. And I was like, no, that's not true. Like my lawyer told me that, because I was grandfathered in, because I was a professional before I chose that sport. And you can't tell a dentist that he can't be a dentist no more because now he gonna pick up weightlifting. Like you're an idiot. So there was a way around it. And I've done that my whole life. Like, it's better to be prepared and well read than to have talent. Like, talent is going to fade. It's going to disappear, just like beauty and your speed. Like, that stuff going to go away. But like your brain is not going nowhere if you do the right things by it. And, like I had the first guaranteed pro wrestling contract. There's nobody that ever had a guaranteed multi-million-dollar deal before I did. And there was a lot of people that hated me for that. They fucking hated me. I'm sorry, my language.
Oh, it's good.
Like they really, man, I went through it, man. Like I helped make the world better for Kurt.
Yes,
like
and
laid the foundation.
They offered me the same contract as you right after the Olympics. I turned it down. And because my agent told me, you're not doing that fake stuff. You're the real deal. Stay with amateur wrestling. I'll get you a job as a sportscaster. And then when I went back to WWE and I told them I'd like to try out, or I told them if that contract, does it still stand? And they said, no, you're going to have to come up and try out. So I went up and tried out. And you're right. The contract wasn't there anymore. It was, I got $75,000 a year. That was my contract. So you basically, because you had to, how do I say this? I
had to quit. Yeah. I had to quit my life.
Yeah.
Like I had to quit being legitimately the world's strongest man. It was hard.
Right.
Like anybody that's ever been good at anything, imagine they say, hey, you can't do that no more. You got to only do this. And
oh, no, you're right. That would suck. But you kind of laid the groundwork for me.
Right. I tried to always be, I was kind of like the bodyguard for pro wrestling. Like, when I say that,
you're right about the contract. A lot of guys were pissed off about it.
Oh yeah. They hated my guts.
Right, Mark. It was,
and sabotaged me. Yeah. Intentionally tried to sabotage me. And I never got joked with. Nobody, we joked around with my friends. You play the dozens, talk about your mama, that kind of thing. But nobody ever put like salt in my food when I wasn't looking, or try to put pills in my drink to knock me out, or put shit in my food, or, man, it was so much shit that happened. Like the ribbon got ridiculous. And say it again.
It was out of hand.
It was ridiculous. And there was points where people took liberties. Like they knew they could get away with it in the framework of wrestling. So they would knock the shit out of me. And
take advantage of you.
Yeah. And I didn't know better. So once I started, knowing better, I started going, no, I'm not doing that. And oh, you're a big star. Was that shit. Like it was bad. And then they realized that I would fight. And when I got angry, it's very entertaining when I'm angry. Kurt will tell you, like,
you don't want to be around Mark.
I don't mind it. If you want it, let's go. I don't give a shit who you are.
Yeah.
And they used to tell the black jokes.
Oh no.
And bro, like I can't do it. Like you got me then. If you want to make me mad, you had me. And so I went through all of that stuff. And then there were guys that couldn't fight, and you could tell that they wasn't tough, and they would talk shit and hide behind the business to protect them.
Right. This is just me cutting a promo.
Oh man, it used to hurt me so bad. I couldn't do shit. And I ended up getting banished to Canada. And that was the best thing that ever happened to me, is getting sent to Canada, because I never learned how to fight. I mean, I boxed a little bit, but when I went to Canada and I started working out at Bret Hart's house, and then I would go on Tuesday and Thursdays to Stu's house, to the dungeon, and I would be in there with some of those guys and shooting, and I didn't even know what the term shoot fighting was. Like, like that was, if I could have had the endurance of Shamrock, then I would have probably went and fought. But man, I had, like, when you shoot fight, you got about 3 to 6 minutes in you. At my size, that's all I had. I mean, it was hard. It was hard.
After that, right? You're exhausted,
bro. I was exhausted. It took me about 5 hours to recuperate from a training session, and then just sitting out and getting up and down and mat checking and running to the wall and turning and doing roll over shoulders like blind. Like, you watch wrestling training and you see guys, they walk backwards and then you just roll and then you roll over to your feet. That was hard for me because I'd never done stuff like that before. So, like, when I saw Kurt the next time, I went through that already. And I was like, hey, man, guess what? I learned how to wrestle. I was so excited, because now I got something. I learned how to do wrist locks and holds.
Right.
And I was like, come on, I want to try to hold you down now. You remember all that shit? Like, yeah. I was so man, wrestling did something for me. Not just the money, but the confidence. And it gave me a sense of purpose again. Like, I really, really enjoyed my wrestling life. I had a lot of injuries. And I went through some stuff, but all of the pain and misery that I had in the beginning, it went away because I earned the respect of the boys. Every time I left and came back, I was better. And they would be like, damn, man, I can't believe it. That dude he's way better. And
you know what, Mark? There was a point in your career where the light bulb went off and you were like, in tune, like you became like incredible worker, and it was like maybe your 5th or 6th year, but you know what, it took you that long, but it usually takes most wrestlers that long. You have to remember, you didn't get a lot of training before you started on TV. You were pretty much
my first
on TV right away.
My first match was a pay-per-view.
Right, so it took you the same amount of time it takes everybody else. They just tried to rush you.
Right. And Vince has admitted to it. He said that. He was like, man, if in a perfect world, I wish we'd have had another year or two to wait before we mainly to not just for the wrestling, but to be able to be more mature and integrate with the locker room and have the locker room realize the business is changing. Guys, we're going to have professional athletes start to come in and be trained. Lawrence Taylor came to WrestleMania, and one of the reasons he said that he didn't wrestle is because he hated being there. How awful is that?
Boys, yeah.
Can you imagine Lawrence Taylor, what he could have done for the business of pro wrestling?
Oh God, yeah. Yeah.
But he hated being in the locker room and catering because the people were like
assholes.
Yeah.
My goodness. Yeah. I want to talk to you, Mark, a little bit about the time you got to spend with Rock, Dwayne Johnson, in your career in WWF. You're one of the ones who you got to go one-on-one with the great one, get a pin over him before he turned himself into the People's Champ. Talk about your time working with Rocky.
Twice.
Yeah. Okay. Talk about your time with him. He's like, counting? I didn't forget that shit. It was twice.
Who's counting?
Talk about your time working with him and just rubbing shoulders and working with him, keeping in contact with him, what it meant to your career.
Man, I remember like the first day he came to Connecticut to training with me and Dr. Tom, because me and Tom Pritchard trained in the warehouse, and being the first developmental wrestler, the first two developmental wrestlers, I think WWE did pretty damn good.
They did.
He came in, he was broke. He didn't have any, only the bags that he had with him was all he had. And I had a 2-bedroom apartment because that was all that the building near the office had. And they didn't have a 1-bedroom, so it kind of worked out. And I told him, I said, man, you can stay with me, man. Just ain't no bedroom suit in there. And like, you know, we got to buy you a bed. He was like, man, I ain't got no money, man. I said, listen, let's go get some furniture, put you in there, and you pay me back when you get some money. So he moved in with me, and we lived together for about 9 months. And I'm going to tell you something. Second generation wrestlers have an extreme advantage over everybody else because they understand storytelling and psychology. And even though they don't know how to hit the ropes, they've seen them done 1,000 times. They don't know how to grab a headlock and do a takeover, but they've seen it 1,000 times. And all they got to do it is once. And then they go, oh, okay, I got it. And that was him. I was so frustrated because Tom Pritchard could do stuff with him one time and then he can do it. And I was like, shit. Like, and, you know, so it got to the point to where when I was working with him, we couldn't do stuff over and over because he would go and do it with Tom. And then they would do like 3 minutes or 5 minutes of shit. And I would be standing there like, look at this. He already know how, you know, like, I mean, that's how visibly good he was. And he could do leapfrogs and drop down. I almost broke my ribs doing drop downs the first day because I dove like, whoa. And it was like a fall rather than laying it in and slapping the mat, you know, like it took me a while to learn. And Dwayne already knew it, man. And he used to tell me all the time, I'm gonna be good, man. He said, you watch. You had all the confidence.
Pretty damn good.
Yeah.
What's that?
He was pretty damn good.
He was pretty damn good, man. For somebody that only had a 9-year wrestling career, his 9 years outshined a lot of people's whole entire careers.
Yeah, you're definitely right. Now, how did it feel to become Sexual Chocolate, Mark?
Man, Sexual Chocolate was my invention.
No shit.
So good.
100%. Not one writer.
Your personality, I could see you saying that.
There was not one writer. Nobody. I went to Vince. Me and D-Lo were driving after the Nation, and the Nation broke up. So everybody was starting to go and do their own things and trying to figure out what was next. And you had the Godfather go his way. You had Ron Simmons go his way and just be Ron Simmons. D-Lo had the chest protector. And I was fucking kind of just like out in the cold. Like, what? And I was like, you know what, man? I just saw this movie Coming to America. And they had this band called Sexual Chocolate.
Sexual Chocolate.
And I just loved the name. And he was like, Sexual Chocolate. Yeah. And I said, you know what, man? I'm going to kind of be a ladies' man. And I'm going to do this. And then D-Lo said, they're not going to let you say Sexual Chocolate on TV. And I said, man, you watch. I'm going to Vince. And I went to Vince, and Vince was like, no. He was like, we have too much money invested in you, Mark. Like, we want to make you serious. We're gonna just wait a minute. It's gonna be all right. We're gonna get you going. You know, I said, just let me try it one time. I'm telling you, if you see me do it, then you'll understand what I'm talking about. because I was starting to get the psychology of wrestling and how to tell stories and how to make people feel a certain way rather than see something. And he said, God dang it. Like he said, y'all, you got 8 minutes. And, you know, I went out there with Val Venus, Sean Morley.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, hey, man, anytime that I down you and leave you, just stay there. I'm going to do enough to put you down, but I'm going to leave you. It's going to feel like a long time, but it's really not. They're going to be looking at me. And he was like, oh, God. Like, he didn't want to do it either.
He didn't want to stay down, right?
So we wrestling around. We do our normal shit. And then about that time, like I give him he fires up on me. I give him a power slam. Bam, he's down. And I jump up and I look at hard camera like, hey, what's up? And I get out of the ring and I go and I start talking to this girl in the front row. And I said, can I have a hug? And she gave me a hug. And then Sean, I told her, the referee came, Mark, you got to get back in the ring. Tell him to come stop me. And then Sean comes out and he bang, bang. And I turn around, boom, boom. I press him, throw him in the ring. And then I go back to talking to the girl. Hey, so, maybe later on we can do this. Man, we finished the match. I come in the back and Vince is like this. Come here, you big son of a bitch. Done.
Awesome. Loved
Sexual Chocolate. He loved it. And Sexual Chocolate, man, is one of the most memorable characters in WWE history.
Yeah, Attitude Era for sure, man. Sexual is great. Here, after Mae Young has your hand baby, you would find yourself up and down from OVW and training for weightlifting again. Were you at odds with the company over the move to OVW, or what was going on then, Mark?
No, I got injured, and while I was injured, my mom died.
Okay,
and I started back training again because I was in and out of the hospital with her every day because the gym was like 1 mile from St. Elizabeth Hospital. She had cancer, so I was going and staying with her and dealing with all of the family stuff that was going on to help her. And then I would, Vince said, look, you stay home until your mom is right. And unfortunately, she never got right. And I gained like 40 pounds.
Wow.
Just like comfort eating and training. And I got strong again. And, when you're emotional, people could say little bitty things that seem like, oh, it's big, exacerbated. And during that time, one of the guys that was one of the world's strongest men said in like Muscle and Fitness that I shouldn't call myself the strongest man in the world because I don't compete in World's Strongest Man. So being angry and emotional and like, hey, motherfucker, look, I'm stronger than all of y'all. The only reason that I don't compete is I'm doing something else. And I just got angry and I asked Vince, I was like, I know this is probably a bad time to ask you this, but these dudes are talking shit on my name and I want to compete against them. And he said, Mark, you don't have to prove nothing. I said, it's not about proving it to myself. I know who I am. I said, but this is a chance for me to, prove it to the world again. And he said, well, I'll let you do what you want to do. He said, but if you lose, he said, we don't have a place for the second strongest man.
Jeez.
And basically told me that if I lost, I was done. So like, I knew that I was going to win though. Like, I was meant to lift. I ended up wrestling and I made the fucking most out of it. But like I ain't had no equals in lifting. I went out of lifting when I was 26 before my prime.
Yeah, well before.
I ain't get the 32, 35. You know what the numbers would have looked like if I would have just power lifted, or if I'd have just did Olympic lifting, I would have got the numbers
in
up.
your mid-30s,
Oh, yeah.
Mark, it would have been
In my
way
30s,
26. Yeah.
man, 26, man, that you still a baby.
Yeah.
So anywhere it go, I competed, I won, I became the world's strongest man again, and then I came back, and that was what I needed for wrestling. Now I'm bending steel poles and bending frying pans and picking up cars and keeping them from taking off and holding cars back with my legs. I'm doing all this crazy stuff. I picked the side of a car up in the arena. There's no like drive the car out there and I'm gonna pick it up.
Right.
And the crowd was just like, holy shit, like they didn't need hydraulics and wires, and people got to see real incredible strength feats that even the best strongmen in the world couldn't do. And they selling out arenas just like that one, doing strongman stuff. And I was doing that in wrestling. So I paid my dues. It took me, by then, like Kurt said, the light was on.
Yeah.
Like I was in full drive then.
Yeah.
So now not only could I work and tell a story and be safe with everybody. Ain't nobody say, hey, Mark Henry hurt me. I call bullshit. Pull the match up. Let me see it. Pull it up. I was never dangerous. Now, in the first 3 years, you could have got your wig split. But like after that, the rest of my career, man, it was a night off working with me.
It was easy working with you, Mark.
Like I had troubles with suplexes before I met Kurt because like just taking whenever my feet went over my head, like it just always bothered me. I told you when I first started wrestling, when I was wrestling in Canada with Stu in 98, 99, it was hard for me to roll backwards up to my feet. It like all of that kind of stuff was, I just had problems with it. And once I got over that fear of it, and Kurt, I'm telling you, I don't know if I ever told you this, but thanks, man, because when you started teaching me how to do the angle slam and a couple of the other suplexes, like that was what got me out of the fear of it. Because I dislocated my shoulder taking a German from Nick Dinsmore in Louisville, because when he grabbed me too high. You used to grab people real low around the waist.
Yeah.
So when they went over, they back and shoulders hit, not your arm.
Space. Yeah, you had space with your back and shoulders. Yeah.
And Nick was afraid of me landing on him. Okay. And you just knew how to do it. And it wasn't Nick's fault, because I can't imagine grabbing a dude 400 pounds and thinking, okay, I'm going to go backwards and he's going to be right on top. I wouldn't want to do that shit either.
Yeah.
But that was his finish.
Yeah. Was
a German suplex. And we had to do it. And rather than, it didn't hurt him, but it hurt me. And that's just part of wrestling. It's a crapshoot. Every night you take a chance on your life.
I want to talk about a moment that all three of us were in the same building for. How ridiculous does that sound? I was a fan. It's Philadelphia. It's SmackDown. Batista's injured. It's that battle royal, and you and Kurt end up as the last two guys in that battle royal. You remember that, right?
I do.
He eliminates you, wins the world title.
That was all Kurt too. Kurt was like, man, Mark. He said, if you pick me up and put me on the top, you can run and like I could catch you and choke you. And he's like, don't go right away. He's like, just trust me. And we teeter-tottered for seemed like 5 minutes, but it was only 30, 40 seconds.
That's it. Yeah.
Bro, like that was one of the best reactions that I had ever heard of going out in a battle royal.
Oh yeah,
like,
it was awesome, Mark. The place.
Damn, that was good.
Yeah.
And obviously, they moved Kurt over to SmackDown. I guess it all happened quick, right? Batista get injured. Hey, Kurt, we're moving you over. We're going to put the world title on you.
Contacted me. Yeah.
Yeah. So at that point, were you like, all right, cool? Or was it like, man, I would have loved a shot here, guys?
Man, no, it wasn't even about the title stuff. I just wanted to keep working Kurt because every night, man, we killed it.
We had some.
Every match we ever had was good. Yep. Sometimes you have a feel out match where you got to feel somebody out and it's kind of boring and this and that. Never.
We had great chemistry off the bat.
Yep. Right off the bat, it was good. And I was sad to see him go because I knew that he was going to go into another bracket of working with the top guys. And I was just going to stay there at Raw doing, kind of medial in the middle wrestling. And it didn't last long. I ended up, getting my shine and everything and becoming ECW champion and so forth. So it didn't take long.
Well, Mark, do you consider your most memorable moment the John Cena retirement angle?
I would think so. I mean, that's what people recognize all the time. If I pull out the jacket, people lose it.
Do you still have it? Oh, there he goes. He's gonna get it, Kurt. Right here, guys. You got to watch his show on YouTube. By the way, this is a good one.
Definitely.
Yep. He has exited. He's here in his little studio, and he's got the salmon jacket.
Mark Henry will be back in a couple minutes.
I'm sure he's got it. Oh man, Kurt, how good is this?
Oh, this is awesome.
This is it. He's got it.
All of my wrestling clothes are in this house.
I love it. Perfect.
Oh,
like I got all the sexual chocolate clothes, like all my boots, all my wrestling gear.
Did you keep all of it, Mark?
I kept everything.
See, wow, Kurt, he was smart.
And I just the one thing that I don't have, when the nation broke up and we were all standing there and we were saying Ron and Dwayne split and he was like, I'm done with all of this. And we were all sitting there. I got angry that we broke up and I took my nation hat and I threw it in the crowd.
Oh, you don't have your nation hat.
I don't have my nation hat.
That's the only thing, though. Kurt has done the exact opposite of you, Mark. He doesn't have anything from his career.
You just gave it away?
Yeah, Hall of Fames and charities. I'm an idiot, man.
Singlets gone, awards, trophies, all of it. Gear.
Hey,
Kurt, you gave your Slammy awards away?
You're Slammy.
I think I did.
Got nothing.
I gave everything away except for my Hall of Fame ring.
His wife wants to kill him.
Yeah.
The title belts too?
Yep. Gave those away too. Hall of Fames.
Can you believe
stop
that?
asking me questions, Mark. We're interviewing you.
Okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna call Triple H tomorrow and say, hey man, Kurt was very generous and gave away all his titles. Can y'all send him new titles,
world titles,
and the Slammy Awards and all of those things? Can you? Because they got all that shit in piles in the warehouse.
I'm sure I could ask for it. You're absolutely
get the big eagle.
You really should, because I love to see you have those on your wall, on your mantles and stuff.
Yes, right.
I still have every man, like everything that I got, I kept it. I got shirts that still have tags on them from the sexual chocolate.
From weightlifting too, Mark?
I got a ton of that stuff too.
God, I left that. I gave everything away with that stuff.
Man, my Olympic singlet, I took out of a box the other day because they, there's a documentary on my life being released in January.
Oh, awesome, Mark.
And I think you're in it, Kurt.
Yeah, I did an interview for it. Yes.
Yeah. And like going through those boxes and seeing all my Olympic wrestling gears and my belts and shoes and all of that stuff is like it's at the at the Letcher Stark Center Museum in the north end of the football stadium at UT, University of Texas. Incredible museum. I actually, when we had a show here in Austin years ago, I saw so many things of Vince's dad that I told Vince, man, you got to come check out this wrestling stuff that's in there. They got pictures of you and your dad and Andre and Haystacks, Calhoun, all these old school, and he was like, really? And I was like, yeah. So he came to the museum with me one day and walked around, man. He was in tears, man.
Oh.
Just seeing the pictures of his dad when his dad was young and when he was a young guy, kind of like being his dad's helper. And, pictures with Andre and all of the, the guys that were strength guys. Bruno, people don't realize that Bruno Sammartino did a near 700-pound squat.
He was a strong
he was a stud, man, like a real athlete. And you squat 650 pounds, like you somebody. And so there was like all these strength things in there about pro wrestling. And so he really loved that. But man, I look at pro wrestling and the memorabilia and all of that stuff as a part of, and you're not the only one. I gave some stuff away to charities, to auctions and stuff like that, but it was really replicas. Like the original gear, the first one I ever had made or the first one I wore, I keep those. But then the ones that I had made just like them, then I could part ways with them because sure. There's no emotional tie to it. It was a replica, but the hat is kind of the only thing. Somebody out there got that hat, man.
Somebody's got it.
Or maybe nobody picked it up and they swept it in the trash and threw it away when they cleaned the arena up. I don't know, but
that would be a damn shame.
If you're listening to this show and you got the hat, hit us up. We're on a mission. We got to find it.
Yeah, man. I want that hat. I'm not going to pay $1 million for it, but I'm just saying, like, I will come up with a good trade.
There you go.
All right, Mark. Your induction to the Hall of Fame is one of my favorites of all time. Your passion showed through that night. How'd you feel about it?
It was a good night for me to be able to, one, share it and spend it with my family and my wrestling family. Like the people of wrestling, they got to get thanked. And that was I've been thankful for the fans appreciating me in my life, but never at that level where you go, listen, it's because of y'all that I was able to be who I was. And also got to, I feel like I helped warm the heart of Martha, Owen Hart's wife, to the idea of being around wrestling again. It didn't happen for WWE, and we do the Owen Cup at AEW now, and Martha is very supportive of it. And it's a wonderful time of year when the Owen Cup starts. But I got to talk to her, and it created dialogue again, and it's just cool to be able to. I don't know if y'all have seen Owen's kids,
Oh yeah.
But Oj, his son looked just like him. And when I saw him, I just started crying because he looked so. And I can imagine his wife.
Seeing
And
him.
I don't have no trouble with saying that I can see why she stayed away from wrestling. Because imagine waking up every day and seeing your son's face and he looked just like your husband. And he's gone. I just felt so bad for her.
Yeah, that's sad.
And, it's like they're beautiful, well-rounded, adjusted, professional people. Pro wrestling might have skewed them one way or the other. And of course, now if they wanted to do it, they can do whatever. They're doing really well. But it's like I appreciate that moment of being able to talk to her, and to be able to pay tribute to Sexual Chocolate and the characters that I played. Made a lot of it touched me to be able to say, man, like I helped create something in wrestling. It ain't many people could say that they performed, that they competed or whatever, but they invent something that people loved, and like that was just your creative, juices flowing that did it. Like I felt really accomplished that night. That was a good night for me, Kurt.
So deserved. Mark, I wanted to say this. This has been so enjoyable. You're so warm, great stories. I've loved this entire interview, man. Just getting to know you through this experience. And before we let you go, you've spent over an hour with us. I wanted to give you a chance to talk about listening to you on Busted Open. You're doing a great job on that. All the work you're doing with AEW. And I'm going to give you a chance too. You got to talk about Cody because you said you want to do that too.
Oh yeah.
But just in closing, just share your thoughts. Anything you want to promote? You talked about your documentary. Again, thank you so much for being here. Just some things that you want to promote for us, for yourself.
Man, we're on 7 days a week now on Busted Open from 9 to noon Eastern Standard Time on Sirius XM. If you don't have a Sirius XM subscription, get one. We're the number one podcast in the world of pro wrestling. And
one day, Kurt, we'll get there. Maybe number 2.
Come on, man. Come on. Come on. Just bring me on at least once a month. And
there you go.
We'll spike those numbers.
You're our ratings machine. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like at AEW, I'm always going to be around wrestling to some capacity. And I feel like I'm more of a wrestling counselor than a coach. I teach people. I don't teach them how. I want them already to know how. I teach them where you do it, when you do it, why you do it. And I teach them how to think outside the box, because that's what Stu Hart did for me, and Leo Burt and Tom Pritchard and Rip Rogers and Jim Cornette did for me. They were all free-spirited thinkers. And they would be like, stop being Mark Henry. Nobody want to hear that shit. Like, be somebody else. So when you start thinking of how can I get over being something else, it opens up your brain to pro wrestling. If somebody said, Mark, you got to be John Wayne, you give me 20, 30 minutes with John Wayne, rehearsal stuff, looking at, I'll come by, I'll be John Wayne, the best John Wayne I could be. I don't need a lot of study time, because all I need to know what the character references and sound and voice flexion and that's science of studying wrestling or acting. And that's what I teach, and I enjoy it. The personal one-on-ones, the people I talk to every week, it's working. It's working. And when you see what you do works, it's gratifying. I sit back sometimes like, man, I did that. I did that. Like that's and the kids, they smile, man. They're Action Andretti. Every time he walks past me, he goes,
That's cool.
and I know what it means. He's saying thank you, but I got it. And he got it. Like he's one of those that, you have a conversation with, didn't have a job, and 2 or 3 sessions with me, they hired him.
Nice.
So like it's those are the things that are good to me in pro
Mentor
wrestling.
Mark Henry. There you go.
Yeah, man. And January there's a documentary on A&E about my life that people gonna find out a lot more about me than they've ever heard. I don't want to give nothing away, so just keep your ears open. It's gonna be big. It's gonna be one of the bigger ones they've ever done. A lot of ground to cover, almost 3 hours. They're 2 hours. They're normally an hour and change. 2 hours, but this one is 45 minutes longer. And my guy Cody, man, like Cody had me about to go to his school 2 months ago because there was a kid that was picking on him.
Oh no!
So I was hot, bro. I was hot, and I told Karen, I said, listen, where send me the address to the school. Because I was going to get on a plane.
Whipped. Yeah.
And I'm not going to punch the principal in the face, but these people at these schools need to do their damn jobs.
Yeah.
This bullying got to fucking stop.
Yeah.
And it started at the top. And there's people that they don't have what you and I have and what Kurt has, where we can stand up for ourselves. Some people can just stand up. But you know what? God put some of us on this earth to be the defenders of the weak and the people that can't defend themselves. And it don't require an ass whooping every time. It requires a parent that's lazy, that allows their kid to tell them what to do and be undisciplined. Though there are people that exist that walk this earth to put them in check. And those principals are afraid, and the teachers are afraid of those parents. I'm not afraid of those parents. I would have flew up there to that school and I would have waited. Cody, which kid is it? And I've been like, we're going to wait with him until his parents arrive. And I would have gave their ass the business.
Good for you.
You tell your kid to mind his mouth and keep his hands to himself. Because Cody said he pushed him. Now I can take you talking shit, but you ain't gonna put your hands on my people. Like, we're not doing that. And this might be the first of Kurt hearing it, but I'm gonna tell you something. You ask Karen and Jeff, I was coming there.
Right.
And you tell the parents, and every parent got the right to do that. Say, listen, I'm not here to fight you. I got better shit to do with my day than to come up here and tell you to get control of your kid. Because if I told my kid, hey, get a baseball bat and crack him when he turn his head, then I'd be wrong, right?
Right.
Well, that's the equivalent of what you're allowing your kid to do to my kid every day.
Right.
Yeah.
So get it under control before I have to get it under control. It's not a threat. Because I'm gonna call Child Protective Services.
Yeah, nobody should be treating anybody that way.
You got to do everything.
Yeah.
And the principals and the teachers, I hate it in this country, man. Everybody want to sue everybody. And, it's just,
Right.
we just a weak ass country when it comes to that type of thing.
Yeah.
But like Cody, all he want to do is come and hug you, man, and talk about wrestling and enjoy. Mark, come on, let's go to the ring. I want to show, like he want to show me stuff, and I'm like, come on, man, let's go. Like, so I love that, and the confidence that he has is beautiful, man. He a beautiful person, and I look forward to seeing him.
Hey, Kurt, how much does it warm your heart knowing that Cody, whenever he's visiting AEW, has a big,
know that
big
Mark
buddy
Henry's
like
got
Mark.
his back. I feel pretty safe.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, we spent time in catering. We spent time by the ring talking about his future.
Nice.
Good. At least somebody's talking to him about it.
That's good.
I have you know what? I honestly don't know, man. I don't know, Mark, what Cody is a good kid. He obviously has a form of autism. But I think he's going to be okay. I think He is.
He's going to be a functioning human being. Yeah. And like I think that Cody will be able to live by himself at some point. He's going to be able to drive and be functional adult. He's just going to need. Say it again.
What he wants more than anything is a girlfriend.
Well, we've talked about that.
Mark, can you help him?
We've talked about that, and I'm like, hey man, just wait.
Sexual chocolate.
Just wait. No, I got to be Mark Henry in that case. I'd be like, hey man, just wait and think about your future first.
I
told him not long ago, I was like, how are you going to take care of this girlfriend?
Yeah, bingo.
I was like, you create a way that you can be self-sufficient and take care of yourself, and then you can take care of somebody else. Then we'll go that route. And he was like, I'm gonna get a job, because right now it's all about wrestling. Yeah. So we're gonna find something in wrestling for Cody to do.
That's great.
That would be his biggest asset. He's
gonna get a job. Like, he's gonna be able to have a functioning life. Watch. As long as I'm alive.
I love you. I love you for that, Mark. This has been great. Kurt, how great. Thank you so much, Mark, for doing this.
Mark, you're awesome, man. Thank you for coming on the show. I really do appreciate it, man. I
had a ball, man. I respect the hell out of you. You've been one of my favorite athletes.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you very much. And listen, if you ever want to be on the show again or whatever, you're more
love to have you, buddy.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it, man. And I'll be listening to you on Busted Open.
All right, man.
All right. Love you, brother.
Take care. We love you, bud, man. So good. Right, thank you. Wow, Mark. Well, that was so good. He got a little emotional talking about you at the end there, Kurt. Mean a lot to him.
I love the guy to death. I mean, Mark, him and I have been friends since, 1995. He basically ruled the Olympic Training Center. He was like the guy, if you wanted something or you needed something, he was the guy that could get you it. And Mark everybody loved him. He was infectious, and just a phenomenal athlete too.
I wasn't expecting that at the end, him to kind of tear up just talking about what you've meant to him over the years. So that got me. This was a fantastic interview, and so thankful. Mark, we'd love to have you back on the show. There was a lot of questions we didn't even get to ask, Kurt.
No, we didn't, man. He was answering questions and he was going forever, and
that's okay.
I absolutely loved it.
Loved it. Hey, before we get out of here, because I know you have some things on your schedule. You, Kurt, went 0-2 last week.
I know.
You picked the Steelers over the Cardinals.
Well, you know what? I picked the fucking Eagles, and they lose. Okay?
And the Eagles, both Philadelphia teams lost.
And they won. Yeah.
So 0-2. Let's get into your picks for this week, though. Who are you going to go? Because you're 16-10 now. Yeah.
All right.
Thank God you can't pick the Steelers, because we're after the Steeler game.
Well, I'm glad I didn't pick the Steelers.
Yeah, they sucked again.
They lost last night. My angle lock is the Ravens over the Rams.
Ravens over the Rams. Okay.
And I hate the Ravens, but I think.
Me too. Yeah. Okay.
And my upset is the Chargers over the Broncos.
Ah, okay. So the Broncos are actually favored in that game.
Yes, even though they're the visiting team, the Chargers are actually, I think, They're 4-6 or 6-7, and Broncos are 6-6, I think.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. So you got the Chargers and you got the Ravens.
Chargers and Ravens, yes.
All right, there we go. Guys, listen, we're going to cover, a lot of you have asked for it. You've wanted it. I've gotten DM'd about it, Kurt. They want to hear you talk about Hell in a Cell from Armageddon 2000.
Oh, I've never talked about that ever.
So we're going to do that next
or anything.
Nope, we're going to do that next week. That's with all the Hall of Famers and one Hell in the Cell. And listen, we want to remind you as well that you can check out Kurt's top Impact moments, TNA moments. Go to impactwrestling.com/packages and sign up with code Kurt. If your business targets 25 to 54-year-old men, oh wow, that was fun. That was sparkly. You're hitting me buttons on the machine. What's happening over there? We just had a visit from Tinkerbell, thanks to Kurt Angle. If your business targets 25 to 54-year-old men, there's no better place than to advertise with Angle.com. We'll play Tinkerbell music in the background as well if you'd like us to. But check it out. Advertise with Angle.com. And we'll advertise. Kurt, we're picking up more advertisers. I don't know if you're seeing those emails coming through.
Yes, I'm really excited about that. We got a pretty good one I saw just this week. So.
Yeah. So they're coming through. Also, you can check out some Kurt Angle Show merch, boxofgimmicks.com. It's Christmas season, so grab your Kurt Angle Show merchandise right now, whether it's for the Kurt Angle lover in your life or you just want to spend some of the gift cards that you're getting in your stockings. You can do that. Go to boxofgimmicks.com. Follow us on X. I guess we're calling Twitter X now, at Real Kurt Angle, at Paulie Bewell. The show is The Angle Pod, and YouTube. Guys, this was your show to watch on YouTube. Not only did we get the salmon jacket, we got some emotional moments, and just seeing Mark Henry's big smile and his cool space. We'll make it easy for you. KurtAngleTV.com. How's that for a URL, Kurt?
That's really easy. KurtAngleTV.com.
You have your own TV station, and you can subscribe, like, and turn on notifications. Kurt, tell us about Physically Fit and the Smart Snacks.
Physically Fit chicken snacks. Well, actually, Smart Snacks. We don't have chicken snacks anymore. These are whey protein, high protein, low carbohydrate, Snack Smart crispy protein bites. Go to physicallyfit.com to order yours. There are 4 different flavors. You're going to absolutely love them. They're delicious. I use them every day in my diet. That's physicallyfit.com. They're called Smart Snacks Crispy Protein Bites.
There you go. Check it out. And then the other big supplement that Kurt is into, I think Mark was talking about guys that are training to be wrestlers. Some are eating ding dongs and pizza. We recommend Smart Snacks and Project One Nutrition cookies and cream protein. Isn't that right, Kurt?
That's right. Kurt Angle's cookies and cream protein from Project One Nutrition. High protein, low carbohydrate, the best tasting protein on the market. I guarantee it. You're going to absolutely love it. Go to projectonenutrition.com to order yours.
There you go. And then finally, KurtAngleBrand.com. That's where you're getting the cameo videos, the cowboy hats, the milk cartons, the birthday cards, the T-shirts, the autographed pictures. Kurt, they can find what over there?
The whole ball of wax.
That's right. He got the tagline down. So check it out, KurtAngleBrand.com. Kurt, I think we're done this week, man. What a great show.
It was a great show. I loved having Mark Henry on. I love the guy. I think he's incredible.
Shout out to Derek Sabato for helping us with our
Derek, thank you, brother.
Yeah, another great guest. On behalf of your Olympic hero, Kurt Angle, this is Paul Bromwell, and we'll see you right back here next week for Armageddon 2000 on The Kurt Angle Show.